We're looking up here back at Pan Pacific Park here, 7600 block of Beverly. That group is thinned out just a little bit, but you can see cars blocking the eastbound lanes of Beverly Boulevard there, as well as demonstrators out in the street. But the westbound is moving slightly, but you see that there are protesters on either side of that, attempting to get their message seen by those drivers passing by. But a little bit of gridlock here as some of these cars are now stuck in that protest. But a majority of the group is down here on 3rd and Fairfax, where we were just looking with that bus that had graffiti on it, as well as the other vehicles stuck inside the crowd. We also have protesters up on the bus covers, and what we're hearing now is that group that we were looking at earlier on the 3rd and La Cienega has began to move northbound on La Cienega, as well as it does sound like there are some other fire apparatus stuck in that group that are trying to get to a call. There was reports of another fire in that area, but we don't see any smoke. But you can see that large group over there beginning to move northbound on La Cienega. We're going to go take a look at that next. And it looks like they are just going 1 block north on La Cienega on now Beverly Boulevard, working their way now eastbound towards the other larger group that was at Beverly and the 7600 block of Beverly, or Beverly and 3rd, but they could also join that large group that was at Fairfax and 3rd. But we'll continue to watch this and bring you the latest. And just as soon as there was 3 groups, we have 4 now. So we got 2 groups that are extremely large. That 3rd group at 7600 block of Beverly, that has grown substantially in the last few minutes. And as I push to the east even farther on Beverly, we're going to show you a 4th group that we just spotted out the window. This is at La Brea and Beverly now. 2 groups kind of converging, one going eastbound, one going westbound. So we have thousands upon thousands out here in this Fairfax area, down here near Beverly Center, the Grove Shopping Center, La Brea Tar Pits, all of that here. They are demonstrating in the streets, blocking roads, and getting their message known. And there's our first sighting of some of LAPD's units on the ground here at Beverly and Fairfax. What they're doing is just attempting to manage that traffic and keep them out of this congested area as those demonstrators are taking over the streets. We're going to push back down to the Fairfax and 3rd group and take a look at them again. So just an update, you're looking at 3rd Street here, just west of Fairfax, just to the east of Edinburgh Avenue here, where a LAPD skirmish line has set up, attempting to block a group of these protesters. One of their goals right now is to help this bus driver right here that we saw earlier, that the bus had been vandalized. There are people on the roof. What they're doing is they're talking to the organizer of this rally, this protest, and attempting to have them help encourage the ability for that bus to leave. So hopefully in the next few minutes we see that bus have the ability to clear out to probably the south there. That seems the most likely, but we'll keep watching that, as well as this this skirmish line with the crowd here to the west. So we are watching that group at 3rd and Fairfax, which has now come up and surrounded an LAPD squad. We just saw more reinforcements arrive, and what their goal now is just to figure out a way to back out of this situation and let this group uh, fill up the street. But we're going to actually go to the right here and show another group a little northwest on Beverly at about Flores or Sweetser, where you've got another few thousand people in the streets. They were sitting, but it does look like they're now making their way. It kind of looks like two groups are converging here, and they're deciding what to do next. They might be funneling down one of these side streets, which is Sweetser. So we'll just have to see what they do next. We got another 500 to 1,000 working their way westbound as well. You've got some going eastbound. So a lot of different groups going a lot of different places here in the Fairfax area near the Grove and Beverly Center. And so we're going to go back to this main group that does have some LAPD involvement. So now what we have is another blocking force down here at Edinburgh and 3rd. These are those officers that just deployed off of those squad cars where they all stand on the outside. So we have another blocking force there, and the goal is to get these LAPD officers that are in the middle out of that. The LAPD officers originally responded to assist this bus that's going to go right out of shot here, but we'll get it back. But they were trying to get that bus out of the crowd, but it looks like now that the crowd has began to move westbound towards the LAPD officers, that bus might be able to get out. But we have heard that that bus does not have any more passengers on board, just that driver, and it has kind of become on the back burner for the LAPD as they are now worried about a little bit of officer safety as this crowd is surrounding this group here. There's our first view of some vandalism on one of the LAPD units. You can see that spray paint there. We're just going to work our way through those LAPD units, see if anything's been done. You see some more spray paint there. And now we have a group running. We'll have to see what that's all about. I'm going to pull out and work our way a little bit to the left. It looks like we have that skirmish line that was to the west of that group making their way eastbound now, and they are deploying some less than lethal rounds to clear out some of those groups. Those are more than likely 37 millimeter stun rounds, which break up into balls and persuade people to move out of the way. But we'll keep an eye on it and try to tune in and see what's going down. We're going to pull away from this scene here and go up to the northern group real quick, but we'll come right back. And we do have some officers that are surrounded, some units being vandalized. You can see here one of those squad cars being vandalized here. Officers that are surrounded in this area as well, so we're going to keep an eye on that. You can see those officers there making a stand near their cruisers. But this is this is that larger group of a few thousand that was up here on Beverly. They did pass that a group and then come back, as well as we have another few thousand to the west on Beverly too. There are thousands upon thousands of people down here right now, all in different groups going different directions, and now we see more of that vandalism on that squad car. Wow. Windows broken, graffiti, ripping off the mirrors, skateboards into the windshield. Let's see what else. Rocks going at it. And now the car's on fire. Wow. Wow. This is our first unit this weekend, or this week, that has been lit on fire. Firework inside the car. They are calling fire department to come out and attend to this vehicle fire now. but they are going to have issues getting into the area with those large crowds. They were being considered of the fire department earlier, but now that but now that might be different as the group has gotten a bit more violent. Can we move a little more to the west? I'm gonna just check on those other officers that are on the other side of the street around their other squad cars. They are surrounded right now as well, and it looks like the protesters are not being violent towards them right now. They're focused mostly on that car fire, which just did occur. But you can see how fast that squad car has went up into flames, and from experience knowing, car fires do tend to go out pretty quickly, which is a good thing. But the fire department is on the way as well. We'd hate for anyone to get hurt because of this. There are a lot of concerns with car fires, those tires bursting, any issues with the gas tank. Sometimes in the bumpers there's compressed gas to soften the impact if a car is in a crash. And what can happen during a car fire is that compressed gas can now expand and blow those bumpers off and hit people. So not only is it dangerous because there's fire and there's toxic smoke, but there's a lot of elements to a car fire that can injure those that are viewing it from around. You often see firefighters keep some distance when operating with car fires, just because they know those inherent dangers and how different things can explode and cause different problems. But we're going to pull out and show you a little wider shot of this intersection here, where that car fire is. That group has dispersed in all the different directions, but you can still see people running up to the car and taking photos with it and things of that nature. But this is something that, of course, we want to avoid. But this group is still in the area, and we do have that crowd to the south as well. I'm going to show you that real quick, just how close that is. Just 2 blocks away, excuse me, 2 blocks away, that crowd's still surrounding officers. A front a skirmish line being moved up from the intersection of Edinburgh and 3rd towards those officers that are surrounded. We have another group of a few thousand that are directly under us right now, but for the most part they are being peaceful, so we're going to focus on these groups here and this LAPD unit that is on fire. Those car fires are out well before the firefighters even arrive. So LA City Fire is on scene, Engine 61 from the area, with some support from LAPD to protect them as they attempt to put out the fire. Last night we did watch as there were some fires in some intersections in downtown, and the fire department actually had to back out because they were being bugged by the protesters. And so they set down their hoses and walked away until it was safe to come back and let that fire go. But that is why we have the LAPD here to make sure that those firefighters are safe, as they're just here doing their job like everyone else. But you can see almost just as far as just as fast as that fire started here on this LAPD cruiser, traffic from the traffic division, Topanga division. You can see that 21 on the back there. That fire is now out, but it won't be out for some time. They got to open up all the crevices and make sure that all that fire is out under the hood, in all the different fabrics and materials inside that vehicle. But this is the first start in getting that resolved. You can see the crowd kind of forming, watching that. Those LAPD officers are now protecting those firefighters, and yeah, this should be resolved here shortly. But first LAPD cruiser that we have seen on fire since these protests have started in the last few days. But LA City Fire making quick work of it, as they do with all car fires, as they are well versed in all sorts of firefighting techniques. The air unit, LAPD Air 3, is still monitoring this situation here to the south on Fairfax and 3rd, where those LAPD units are surrounded. We do have multiple units being vandalized. You can see one there now with its windows stomped in, someone standing on top of it, someone beating the front with one of the hubcaps. So hopefully we don't see yeah, okay. We're going to pull away from this for just a second, go take a look to the east where we do see a fire in the distance, so we might want to go check that out. But let's see here. That is to the, let's see, that's to the east of Dodgers. Let me ask if they want us to go. Assignment of Sky 5. Hey, I don't know if you have us pulled up, but there is a fire to the east of Dodgers. Would it be okay if we went and looked at that real quick? Let's go. And we'll be right back to the scene of this protest here in the Fairfax area, but we're going to go check out that fire to the east of downtown real quick. Make sure that's nothing related to any protests. If you're still joining us on KTLA.com and on our app, you can see that we have a small brush fire here um, just to the east of the 110 freeway here near Chavez Ravine. Elysian Park area is the area that we're in. LA City Fire, it looks like, is already on scene. You can see those trucks down here at the bottom. They're going to deploy and attempt to put some water on this as fast as they can. I'm going to take a step away from reporting real quick and check in on our scanner and see if we can hear of any air units come in. Good thing is this is fairly contained. It has a freeway on one side and does unfortunately have some buildings around it, but they should be able to get a good handle on this. With the low winds in the area, um, they already do have assets on the ground above that by the radio tower there. It already looks like they're reporting that they have a bulk of this fire out. They're not too worried about it with the current winds, and they believe that the freeway will stop it. It's not going to jump the hill based on the winds, and this should be business as usual here probably in the next hour or two. See the firefighters there on the ground, those hand crews with those hoses, putting out those hot spots, and their goal will be to essentially dig a line around this fire to prevent it from spreading. But there is a little bit of active flame from you in some of the tundra up here, the brush. That brush takes a little while to ignite, the green brush at least, but that brown brush that you see there, that flash crash, that burns really hot, really fast, and moves pretty fast, especially with some wind. But the wind is fairly light right now, and they do have a lot of assets on scene. But we have not heard any air units yet, but I'm sure they are on the way, and they are equipped to drop water. Hey Desk, you want us to stick here or go back to the protest?